The Massachusetts boys come up big for the Seattle Kraken in their game against the Boston Bruins. Let's talk about it on today's episode of Locked On Kraken.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are the Seattle Kraken.
Hey, what do you say, Seattle hockey fans? Welcome to another episode of Locked On Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we bring you your favorite team every single day. My name is Erica L. Ayala. I am your host of Locked On Kraken, also the founder of Black Rosie Media, a platform created to empower Black women and melanated creators just like me in sports media. I'm just going to take a little sip from my Locked On mug here because, well, one, I'm still kind of recovering from that head, chest, cold, flu, whatever. But also, I'm feeling pretty good. I wanted a win. I really wanted that win against the Devils. That one didn't quite happen. But I wanted this win against the Brew Crew, the Boston Bruins, I guess. Is the Brew Crew more of a Milwaukee thing? I don't know. Either way, we got the win against Boston, and it was two Massachusetts boys, one from Boston proper, that gets us the win. Yes. We're talking Joey Daccord and Matty Beniers. Two of my favorites. I think we all know, right? Matty B has been one of my favorites. I literally have covered this guy at TD Garden twice, once when he was with Michigan, once with the Seattle Kraken, and I covered his Olympics in Beijing. Like, I was there in the flesh. So I kind of feel like I'm growing up with the kid, you know? So love Matty Beniers. Joey Daccord, such a sweetie. And we've had him on the show before. If you are a Locked On Kraken insider, you know I had a great conversation with Joey Dax. We talked about Arizona State, and this is before I officially started the conversation with him, but he's a sweetheart. And this game meant a lot to him. I didn't talk about it yesterday because, quite honestly, I did not realize, I did not put together that this was his first pro start at TD Garden. And he grew up in Boston, like his hometown is Boston. You know, Matty B is from Hingham, which is in Massachusetts, not too far from Boston. But, you know, this is like Joey Dax. He knows a thing or two about the Boston Bruins. And he actually talked about some of that in his post-game remarks. He also made a remark actually at the beginning of his comments, but I put it at the end of this edit that you're about to watch. Let's take you over to Joey Daccord talking to media after another 30-plus save performance, this time against his hometown team, the Boston Bruins.
Really special. Just kind of trying to put everything all into perspective. You know, I grew up through and through a Boston sports fan. You know, I was here when the Bruins won the Cup. I went to Game 6, you know. It's just, it's been a long road. I'm obviously pretty old for a rookie, and, you know, my first time playing in the Garden. Couldn't have been more special, and to have an effort from our group the way that we had tonight. You know, Berkey with his biggest block of the year. So many guys had great games, and we just grinded out a great win. And you know, for myself personally, it was a really special night. I'm really excited to go see my family and friends, and just share the moment with them, because it was really special and pretty emotional for me. And to get the opportunity to play here in the Garden against them, you know, and they obviously have an incredible team too, and they've had a great season, great, you know, run for however many years now.
Interview without it.
He says he can't interview without it. That is, of course, the Adam Larson, T-shirt there that he was wearing at the end. Again, you can feel the emotion, and it meant a lot to Joey Daccord to get that start. It meant a lot for the Seattle Kraken team in their fight to make up the playoffs to get this win. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the hockey. And first, I want to talk about just the onslaught that Joey Daccord saw in net. If you are watching on YouTube, you can see Natural Stat Trick up on the screen. That big blob of orange and red. Once again, we see that Joey Daccord had to really work for this win. When you look at the stat line from the game, he made 37 saves for the Seattle Kraken. He was one of the 3 stars of the game. He had a .973 save percentage, and it was just crushing it for the Seattle Kraken last night. He did let up a goal early on, but there's not really much you could do about that. It was a weird rebound, and you just can't get them all. But 36 saves. I think I had said 37 earlier, so I apologize for that. But it was a 36 save performance for Joey Daccord. But again, when you look at just how much he had to attack in front of the net, he also talked in his post-game remarks about the post and how he got a little bit of luck there. Also want you to just see this game flow chart. Game flow, all Boston. I mean, they put up really great numbers against the Seattle Kraken. And if we go back to the NHL.com, you see that the shots on goal were not even. 37 shots on goal to 26 for the Seattle Kraken. And that stands to reason with what we see on the game flow chart. And again, with the heat map here for this game. So it wasn't easy work for Joey Daccord and the Seattle Kraken, but they got it done. And they got it done in a big way by the Massachusetts boys. So I talked to you about Joey Daccord, and I said all week I've been telling you I want to talk about Matty Beniers, and we're going to do that in the next segment, because not only did he have a 3-point performance against Boston, but I love what the Athletic has done, and I think Emerald City Hockey also talked about this in the last week or so on their show. But what he's been doing defensively, and remember, my eye test, if you're an everydayer, an OGer, I've been telling you that my eye test has been telling me that Matty Beniers is doing what we need him to do defensively. And now we have some analytics behind it. That's why analytics is important. It's not that I don't trust myself, but especially being a woman in sports, a lot of times I could have the most bulletproof statistics and I will still be told that I'm wrong. But when you have the data, when you have the analytics to back up what I told you months ago I was seeing. Now, it's not that that Matty Beniers has not been slumping, because I think he has been. And I think we talked about this with his injuries, in and out, getting rocked a little bit. He's had to develop a tougher game. And a way that you do that is really by leaning in defensively to the defensive game. Not to mention that he's a center. I've been saying this for a while. That's part of your game. Oh, well, he's a center, is working on face-offs, going to negatively impact his offensive output. I said it months ago. I'll say it again. If you're a top 6 center and being good at your position is going to negatively impact your offense, then you're probably not a top 6 center. I'm going to sip my tea again, and then we're going to get into Matty Beniers coming up on today's episode of Locked On Kraken. All right, I have refreshed the vocal cords just in time to let you know today's episode of Locked On Kraken brought to you by our friends at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience is what brings home the winning trophy. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, LED lights, exhaust kits, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with the eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home the W. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available for U.S. customers. Let's get back into this episode of Locked On Kraken. Thank you, as always, for making Locked On Kraken a part of your daily destination. I want to remind you that Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube and now also available on Amazon Fire TV. Find Locked On Sports today, now available on the free Fireside TV channels app. Also, you can find it on YouTube, and you can find it on the Sirius SXM app, as you can find Locked On Kraken, Locked On NHL, and all of our Locked On shows. But we're here. It's Locked On Kraken. Happy Friday. It is a Firebirds Friday. Very interesting comments from Chris Drieger, who got another shutout, and Mike Benton and the radio crew is actually in Coachella Valley, so they caught some of that for you. We're going to talk about that coming up later on the show, but first, I want to talk about Matty B. He's got points in the last 2 games. He had 3 points against his home state team, the Boston Bruins. He talked a lot about that. And we're going to talk a lot about Matty Beniers in this segment. I'm looking at game score. We're going to go over what The Athletic had to say about Matty B. Allison Lucan has a great article up. So I'm going to just nibble on some of these little nuggets here, but you should definitely check this out. Check the show notes if you want the links. For The Athletic, you do need a subscription. And listen, as someone who is in the business, I believe in subscription models, so I am not going to read or show you the whole thing. That's just not what I'm going to do. If you want good analytics, whether it's at The Athletic or otherwise, make sure that you are compensating the people doing the work. That's all I got to say about that. But before we get into the analytics, why not hear from the kid himself? Let's hear from Matty Beniers after the win, the 4-1 win. He had 3 points on the night against the Boston Bruins at TD Garden.
Really good win. Great to come into Boston and beat one of the best teams in the league right now. So it's obviously a confidence booster and a testament that we can play the right way and win games like that. He knew I was giving it right back to him, and those work out. He's obviously got a great shot and he just put it in there.
Valuable was it to have Bjorkstrand push Marchand back there too to give you guys the passing and shooting lanes?
Yeah, that's what people don't realize. That was a great play by him. That's the hard-nosed play, and that goal doesn't happen without him. So yeah, I think so. I think I just been playing the right way and been able to see get some points to everything you guys see. So as long as we're winning, I'm happy.
Did you guys talk at all that it was valuable to do this here on your old hometown ice?
Not really, but I know he was just super excited about it. I mean, Boston kids love coming home to Boston, so I know he's pumped up. I was pumped up, and so it's fun to get the win.
Boston kids like coming home to Boston is what he had to say about that. He was being asked about Joey Daccord and his performance. Joey Daccord was asked about Matty Beniers and his performance. Of course, the two proud of each other, had, I'm sure, a great time catching up with family in the crowd. But we're proud of the guys too. We're proud of our guys too. And I first want to take you to, this is actually a series that Allison Lucan is doing, the Kraken Film Room Playing with Ease, presented by Geico. And in this, she talks about Matty's game score, which you'll see here. And I'm going to get into game score in a little bit. I'm going to do my best to explain it as I understand it. Now, I've used game score when I called PHF games, and I do think it changed how I was able to describe what I was seeing. It gave a little context to it. So I'm glad and I'm grateful that Allison Lucan has reintroduced game score to me. And I bet you it's something that I'll talk about a little bit more on the show. But you see that in this series, we've got screenshots here of the Matty Beniers. He got hit in that game against the New York Islanders. We talked about that. I have the short video up on Locked On Kraken on social media, on Twitter, and also on YouTube Shorts, where he's like, I'm not that hurt. But this is him down, and just a great job breaking down the play. And I really hope that we get some of this film room breakdown when it comes to Matty setting up Tolvanen. I mean, some of my favorite guys were connected on that play. Matty Beniers, Eeli Tolvanen, and Oliver Bjorkstrand kind of serving as a little bit of a deke. So I love that we see this. But this is the breakdown of that goal that Matty B had against the New York Islanders. And then you also see the defensive breakdown. Now, the game against the Islanders, this was a fantastic play, but there were more plays like this in all three zones against the Boston Bruins that, even though, as I mentioned to you with the natural stat trick data, even though we were outshot, even though we did not score first, I gave you the stats on these two teams. Neither one great when playing from behind. But because of the things that the team did, and Allison, again, I showed you that playing with ease, just because this is the kind of analysis that I think is huge and is going to help us understand what the Seattle Kraken are doing now that they have not been doing with consistency during some of their droughts this season. And so retrievals is huge. And you're going to hear me talk about that again when I talk about what The Athletic wrote about Matty Beniers and his defensive prowess, okay? What he's doing in all three zones, especially as a center, and why it's critically important. And The Athletic making a case that he's putting up numbers of some of the guys that we see as just perennial all-stars that are always a part of the conversation. So I love this. I love that we're getting more analysis. I think that it's fantastic that the Seattle Kraken are also starting to play this way. So if I take you to this article, it's Shayna and Dom write this article here. It is hold on. It's asking me to accept updated terms. Hold on one second. Okay, here we go. We got it. I'm doing this live, folks. Well, it's recorded, but you understand. The article is entitled "How Matty Beniers is Showing Selke Trophy Potential Despite His Sophomore Slump." And so some of the data points that we have here involve defensive workload, where Matty Beniers in 2022-23, according to The Athletic, 98% on exits, 100% on retrievals, and he had an average of 99% overall percent. Oh, geez, my accent is coming out big today. Defensive workload, 99% overall. Other people last year who had a 99% defensive workload include Ryan O'Reilly, Jack Hughes, Connor McDavid, and Mark Stone. That's last year. 23-24, he's at a 97% clip defensive workload overall. So the exits have gone down a little, but he's still perfect on retrievals, in company right now with Matthew Barzal, with he's ahead of Adrian Kempe, who's at 94%. I mean, this is just great. Now, what you hear in or read in the Athletic article is, I'm going to read this to you. Now, workload, defensive workload, is only half the battle, though. It's all about being clean and efficient. That means turning retrievals into zone exits and turning zone exits into controlled zone exits. Now, basically, what that says to me is, how are you able to retrieve the puck and then get your offense going? putting your offense in a position to do something with the puck. So this is where Matty Beniers starts setting aside or is a step above in his workload. Quote, it's not just that Beniers has a heavy defensive zone workload. It's what he does with it that makes his defensive work zone so impressive. Despite heavy usage, Beniers has taken steps towards becoming extremely efficient at getting pucks and getting them out with possession. And I've talked about how important possession is for the Seattle Kraken. We have to move the puck well. We cannot always afford to be direct. And when we have people like Matty Beniers moving the puck effectively and efficiently, despite, as I just read, a high workload, that's going to give us more chances in the offensive zone. Last year, quote, last year he turned a retrieval into an exit 58% of the time and exited the zone with possession 71% of the time. Both are strong marks, especially considering he also carried a pretty heavy burden last year that may have been overlooked given the emphasis on the offense he created as a rookie. But those are both marks, that pale in comparison to what he's done this season. This season, he's turned a retrieval into an exit 81% of the time and earned a controlled exit 78% of the time. He's crushing it. He's crushing it. And that's why the game score, I think, is massive here when you take a look at that. So I want to take you to Hockey Stats Cards. And this is something that Allison Lucan used in her article, but I'm going to show you this. So basically, if you look at this, you want to read from center to the right if you're looking at the screen. And that's a positive game score. And game score includes on-ice offense, on-ice defense, power play, penalty kill, and then overall offense and defense. And you can see the color coding at the bottom. This is from Hockey Stats Cards on social media. Matty Beniers, highest game score against the Boston Bruins, followed by Jordan Eberle, Oliver Bjorkstrand, and Eeli Tolvanen. Now, on the defensive side, and someone who had a high workload and a positive workload defensively, Brian Dumoulin. Justin Schultz also up there. You can see that offensively, Alex Wenberg, his offense put him in the positive for game score, but on the negative side, you can see that defense, his individual defense. And I can't believe that I didn't think to start using game score a little bit more often in my analysis, because I really do love game score. And I think it really helps set up who you think and who, statistically speaking, has been an impact player. And I love that it gives us defensive stats. Anyway, I could go on and on about game score. This is what we need to know. And I put this on social media. Matty Beniers is so back. He's so back, boys and girls and everyone. He is back. And it's not really that he left necessarily. I do think some of the hits rocked him a little bit, had to get his confidence back. But these are the things that we need to continue to see from Matty Beniers. And if Matty keeps doing these things, it will continue to unlock offense for the entire team, including for him. And that's a little bit of the difference, is that he's taking his chances. And that's what Coach Hack said after the win against Boston. I want to get into this. We'll have time to talk about it because as we heard from Andre Burakovsky for the Davy Jones hat ceremony, we will see the Kraken, or the Kraken will see each other, specifically Coach Hack, on effing Sunday. So let's give the boys a little bit of a break. They're headed back to the West Coast before they have a homestand. Coming up next on Locked on Kraken, though, I want to take you to the Valley and talk about how that team is doing, and some interesting comments from Chris Drieger, who, again, we just have to figure out where he fits long-term in the organization. That and more coming up on today's episode of Locked On Kraken. Today's episode brought to you by our new friends at Camino Consulting. Our sponsor today is Camino Consulting. How would you like to get to know someone better in an hour than you would in a year? Understanding one another better prevents small misunderstandings from becoming big ongoing fights. After providing more than 20 years of service to small and mid-sized businesses, helping management groups navigate conflict and onboarding new employees, Camino is offering a digital seminar for families and couples. Did your Valentine's gift of tickets to the game not go over as well as you hoped? Get the Couples and Family online seminar for 25% off the month of February by using discount code Locked On. Again, that's discount code Locked On for 25% off of the rest of the month at www.caminoconsulting.ca. You can head to the website and mention Locked On when reaching out for a business seminar to receive your first 5 profiles for free. So go check out our friends at Camino Consulting. All right, Seattle hockey fans, it's a Friday. Unfortunately, my Valentine's plans were to go see the Kansas City Mavericks, but I mentioned there was a little bit of a technical glitch at BOK Center, and that game could not go on as scheduled, so it's been rescheduled for later in the month. But I didn't get my fix of prospect conversation. I love talking to general manager and head coach Tad O'Had when he's in Tulsa and when I'm in Tulsa for that matter. But in order to get my fix regarding the Seattle Kraken pipeline, I'm going to take you to the Kraken audio network, because if you have missed it for any reason, they are flying with the Firebirds this week and caught up with Chris Drieger after another stellar performance in net. Let's hear from Driegs, and then I'll break down exactly where the Firebirds are at this point in the season.
Yeah, it's pretty special seeing, the fan base that we've generated here in the Valley has been super, super cool. I think I've been recognized more in Coachella than any other place I've played. I'm not kidding, including the NHL, which is pretty insane. It's just been fun. The community's really embraced the team. I should say I know a couple of the guys have been embraced by the golf courses as well. So it's just kind of all around. It's a great experience, and it's cool to bring hockey, like a new product, to the Valley and have everyone so excited about it. I think things have been coming together for us. I'm going to be honest, I don't think it was our prettiest game out there tonight, but we got the job done, and I think that's what good teams do. So it's been a lot of fun playing hockey for this team all year, but especially in this past little stretch here. I think we're kind of coming together at the right time. Well, I think I'm just trying to keep it simple and back to the post, see the puck, don't get too far outside my crease, and some games they hit you, some games they don't, and fortunately tonight they hit me.
So that's Drieger saying that he's a kind of a celebrity in the Valley. I love that. I also love that he's doing well. The Coachella Valley Firebirds, they get another shutout win, the second straight shutout win for Chris Drieger. 25 saves to extend team's point streak to 10. They have won outright 3 of their last 4 games, but have a point streak that goes back 10 games here. Cole Lind gets the first goal, his 10th of the season, late in the first period. He got the feed from Captain Max McCormick, who, if you remember, was a part of that Kraken Audio Network interview earlier this week. Magnus Krona was the goaltender in net for San Jose, and Cole able to get past Krona. Podorowski got the secondary assist. That's his 400th career AHL point. McCormick extended the lead for the Firebirds with his 20th of the season. Once again, Podorowski involved there with Cole Lind on that secondary assist. So that line has been doing really well. The Firebirds have extended their lead in the Pacific Division, now top of the table there at a 28-12, 4-2 record on the year. Now, the power play needs a little bit of work. They were 0 for 4, but went 2 for 2 in the penalty kill. They will have another game tomorrow night. We'll take on the Colorado Eagles, so you can check that out. But the Coachella Valley Firebirds getting fired up in the Valley. And this is important for us. Now, I know I said, it's just me, your lone host of Locked On Kraken, at least for now. I have said that I want to get back to Shane Wright because Shane Wright is playing really well for the Coachella Valley Firebirds right now. And, I guess it's a natural question, especially because we've been injured for what seems like forever, to wonder where does Shane fit in to the Seattle Kraken? And I think right now the answer is that he fits in with this Coachella Valley Firebirds squad. This is AHL.com for those watching on YouTube. And you can see, as I mentioned, Cole Lind, Max McCormick, they're top of the table here. But then Shane Wright is our second leading goal scorer. Now he has a -4, but that's not too bad. Penalty minutes are right there at 14, 32 points. That breaks down to 18 goals, 14 assists, right ahead of Andrew Podorowski. Also has 32 points. You heard that he was involved a lot with McCormick and Lind in yesterday's win. So I think right now we just let Shane get his confidence, get his game to where he wants it to be. Now, come next year, especially depending on what happens with the Seattle Kraken, because they're still in a fight. It's not a foregone conclusion, not even close. We talked a little bit about the scenarios yesterday, but the Seattle Kraken, they needed this win, and I'm very proud that they got the win. I'm glad that they got the win, but there's still more work to do. As of right now, we are 5th overall in the Pacific Division, 56 points. We jumped ahead of the Calgary Flames in points, but we're still behind LA at 60, Edmonton at 63, Vegas at 68, and Vancouver, holy cannoli, they've got 80 points in 55 games. Come on. And we're going to see them next week, Thursday, I believe it is. Wild card. What are we looking like? The Vancouver Canucks, Vegas Golden Knights, and Edmonton Oilers, like I said, are at the top of the Pacific Division. So we're fighting with the rest of the Western Conference. LA ahead of us, St. Louis ahead of us. St. Louis and LA both have 60 points. The Predators have 56 points, and the Seattle Kraken also at 56 points. I thought I was going to get to my conversation with Ann Kimmel a little bit this week, but that just means you're going to get a bonus episode tomorrow. Ann and I talking about the wild card scenarios. So make sure you set your alerts and your alarms. We'll have it on YouTube and, of course, anywhere you listen to Locked On Kraken, including the Sirius SXM app. But there's a lot going on in the world, so please be kind to yourself first and foremost, and then turn that kindness inward, outward, and be kind to one another. We say loud and proud until our next game. Hold fast. Stay true, and let's go Kraken. Bonus episode tomorrow featuring the amazing Ann Kimmel. We're going to talk about the wild card scenario. We did record this a few days ago, so just keep that in mind. I'll try to give you a little bit of a primer before we hop into that conversation. But hey, enjoy the weekend. Get yourself some rest. I know Andre Burakovsky, after getting that big block, sure is going to get some rest. And I, Erica L. Ayala, your host of Locked On Kraken, will catch you on the next episode. Peace.